What is going on, everyone? I just wanted to stop by real quick before this podcast starts and say you should like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias at John D. Klauser. It's literally the same name as the name that you subscribe to on this YouTube channel. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you guys on the other side.
Welcome to The John Show with your host, John Doogie Klauser.
All right. Hey, how are you guys? What's going on? So, we're here on another episode of The John Show, and I'm your host, John D. Klauser, and just so you guys know, the D actually stands for David. One of the great things about being a Jew or being Jewish is that you have biblical names for everything. So usually, like, if you meet someone whose middle name is David, like, there's a good chance that they're going to be Jewish. I had a whole idea for the whole music. I found that silly little like Latin music thing a long time ago, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to use this eventually for something, and I just kept it into a folder. And then I was like, I'll just throw it down there for a while because it'll kind of help with feeding some dead air that's sitting there, because I do the clap thing, so I can sync the audio with the video. And then I was like thinking, like, okay, maybe now I have this music and I keep on using it week after week after week. Maybe I should get like a Latin lady saying like the intro thing, literally what was said, but with like a Spanish accent. And I kept thinking about it, and I'm like, no, let's just have Aaron do it, because I'm lazy, because I'm just like sitting here with like wanting to have like words put over this music, and now I'm like, but why don't I? And just because I was being lazy. And so, that's the one thing I want to start off with, guys, here is that, like, don't be lazy. Just do it. Just get her done. And you feel better afterwards. It's like, it's so silly. Like, sometimes, like, when I procrastinate or I'm lazy, and especially with this, like, every week, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get it done. I get home at like 8:30, 8:45, and I'm like, fuck yeah. My lights are halfway set up. I turn my lights on, get everything going, like set everything up on the table. Because, surprisingly, this table does not actually sit like this all the time. I wish it could, but it doesn't. And then I pull it out from the corner. I had to put everything on, get everything ready. One of the things that take the longest time is just, getting the camera centered. And then I have to do it twice, because I have to do it for taking the still picture that's for the thumbnail, and then also taking the video and framing for the video. And then tonight I was thinking, like, I really like shooting and having like 16:9 framing with my camera. So it just looks more cinematic in my eye, and especially when like you use like a DSLR camera, like a Canon DSLR, you kind of lose a little bit of that there's a little bit of grain, or there's this little flicker that's with the actual film. And so I'm like, I keep getting, and I miss that, and I really wish I could get that more, but it's so much easier to film digitally, because I can just, if there's a bad thing, I can just delete it and that'd be done, and I'm not losing space for my money. Because when you do film and you overexpose or something like that, or you underexpose and there's things you can't fix, then you're just, well, damn it, you're out of this money and you're out of the shot. So it's two whammies versus just having one happen and just reshoot what you just shot. So what I like to do is I like to shoot on the top. I like to cut the top and the bottom down like black. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I might do it, might not. Because if I do it, then I lose a lot of this stuff. But I think a lot of this stuff kind of adds a little bit of separation from the front. Like, I'm in the middle, and then like there's the back with like, that's the reason why I have these two flags, as well as this, to show homage to where I'm, where I am, where I'm from, and things like that. I also do it to like have separation from my background. So like it sucks right now because I have a black hat and like I'm right on top of black, which I don't know. But yeah, hey guys, what's up? So like what is this? Day 100 and like 97 700 like 999 day of COVID or whatever it is. It's really funny. So like every week I write down like, how are you doing? I write down like what day. It's like a little joke for myself because I have this notepad and I dated it of like when I started doing this podcast, and I write down like every week's note of what I want to talk about on here. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. It doesn't matter. It's just like I like to have a sense of being prepared of what I want to have something to talk about. Just it makes it easier for me. Like even if I never use any of it, I like to have it. So I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'm bouncing the ball, but at least I'm doing something with that ball instead of just sitting here and bouncing it. Like I can do it with my left hand, use my right hand. I occasionally look down and look at and like see something I want to do. Like, and this thing is getting. There we go. All right. But then what thing is you lose a little bit of tension. There we go. Okay, so hey, yeah, like I said, I hope you guys are doing well. This podcast is probably already off the rails. But yeah, the music, I had the music and I just ended up using Aaron's voice, and I put a little bit of, I used his normal voice and also then I put it into like an echo form at the very end, but I also used making it sound like it was to a telephone. It was like a telephone distortion. And I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. It's the silliest, dumbest thing I've made in a long time, like audio wise. And it was so much fun actually to be able to sit down and not have any pressure with making something audio wise. Like audio is cool and it's fun. I guess I should say it's really awesome because this is what this is mostly an audio format, art form. But so but it was so much fun just to sit down with something with a bunch of audio stuff and just having distortions and using echoes and just being able to just fool around and make something stupid and not give a shit about anything of how it turns out. And to me it's hilarious, and it's just a really funny thing that I made that I was just it took me recording it. It took me longer to record doing Aaron's voiceovers than it did to actually make the whole thing, because I already had the music. So that's usually the hardest part, is if, like, I would have to make all that music, or in this case I just had it and I just laid it down and I just threw a voice over it and just timed it out at the beginning of it, just how I want it to sound, like what's a good little pace and a tempo. I guess that would be the better way. Tempo or pace is the same thing. And that was it. And I got her done and I did it. It was a lot of fun for me to do it. And then I exported it. I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. It's going to be easy. And mostly it's just so I have something there. And like, if I get to like episode 212, at that point I'll change it. And then it'll be something else. So we'll see. It probably won't be, because I'm like, oh, it's done now. But what else? What is up? So what's new with me? So this week's been pretty chill. I pulled my left glute, which is always great. So I'm 31 years old, and what I've been wanting to do for the longest of time. I've wanted to do this, and it's so silly, but I always think that, especially now, like the more I get older, the more I'm like, flexibility is super important. So I've been really working hard for the last couple of months of trying to learn how to do the splits, and I've gotten decent. I'm not saying I can get all the way down. I'm saying that I'm a lot more flexible than probably the average guy at this point, which is awesome, because I just like knowing, I like being good at like really obscene things. And this is something that there's no need for me to know how to do this. There's no need for this to be done. But I'm like, you know what? I'm 31, don't have kids. I, have health insurance. Why not? Why the fuck not? And so, yeah, and I pulled my left glute because I was going down, and when I was coming back up, how I do it, I kind of arched my back a little bit, and I just felt this little, like, pop in my back, and I'm like, damn it, and I pulled the glute, and that's usually how it feels, like there's this little sharp little, like, jab, and I'm like, oh, and then, like, when I tense back up, it's usually when it starts, I'm like, oh, okay. And it wasn't terrible. Like, I was still able to work out I've been able to work out since the thing is like, what's so funny to me is I don't really have an off day when I work out. I know we're gonna talk about fitness here in a second. We're here, guys, right now. Because this is me going crazy is drinking bubbly water. Occasionally, I'll drink some beers, but like normally, it's just like the craziest thing I do is drink bubbly water. That's like the most insane thing I do. I have like a jug of water. It's just I'm that guy. I'm that guy that you think doesn't exist, but I do exist. And the thing is, like I work almost every day, and it's mostly something small. Like it doesn't have to be anything crazy. And even like my off days, so I count my off day. I sit in there in the gym and I'll stretch. I'll just sit. I'll get a mat, disinfect it, sit there and I'll stretch, and then I'll go and I'll sit in the sauna. And what's so great about the sauna lately, what's awesome is because like these fuckheads that go to my sauna. So this is what's so I have struggles in my life, guys, and this is like my biggest struggle in my life right now. So I go to the gym. Like I told you, I go there almost every day pretty much. If you were to look at my thing, it's like I'm there every day. Even like I don't lift weights though every day. I might go in there and just do some cardio and sit in the sauna. Or I might just go and I'll, do a normal workout and sit in the sauna. Or I'll sit in there and I'll stretch and do my core, like do just additional core workout, because core muscles, because they're so much smaller, it's so much easier to recover. So you can do ab day like, twice or 3 times a week. If you really want to, you can do it like a Monday, a Wednesday, and then like a Sunday if you really wanted to do that, or Saturday. You could every other, whatever. And, but every time, how I end my sauna sessions or how I end my workouts is I sit in the sauna, because that's, to me, that is an enjoyment, and it is a reward for pushing myself and not being lazy. I don't know why, but to me, a reward is sitting in a hot room that is 200 degrees for 30 minutes and 30 seconds. There's no need for the 30 seconds. I just do it just because I feel like that makes me less weak as a person. I'm like, I'm pretty strong now. I'm way stronger mentally because I do this. But to me, that's the biggest treat I give to myself, is going and sitting in the sauna. I think it's super important for everything, for skin, for your health, blah, 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 blah. Look all that stuff up if you really care about that stuff. I'm telling you that part to tell you this part of the story. So in my gym, the gym that I like going to right now, because it's a lot smaller, not a lot of people go there. It's just one of the smaller gyms. But what's so great about it too is the fact that it's just a male sauna. Unlike most bigger gyms of Genesis gyms I go to that are in the Midwest area, they're unisex or dual sex. I guess dual sex is the better term for it. So you can't, I usually just sit in my Skims, my compression shorts, and I just sit in there, have a towel, and I have my jug of water, and I sit there for 30 minutes. Don't talk to anybody. Just kind of sit there, have earphones in, just enjoy it. I'm just like, okay. And it's so crazy for me is that I don't really feel, I feel it about 6 minutes in is when I start, like, I'm like, okay, we're in a deep sweat where like I'm drenching, I'm like pouring out. About 3 minutes is where I start feeling little balls of water start coming to the surface. And I just sit in there, like I told you, it's a 200-degree room for 30 minutes. And I love doing it. And a lot of people don't do the sauna stuff. It's just something that a lot of people don't do. What's so interesting is like how I got into it was, I don't know if I told you this, but it was just because I had to get a drug test for this job, for this film production job. And it was for a big corporation. So like that's the reason why it was one of their mandatory things. Well, I had just graduated college. And so, what you do is you celebrate graduating college. And what do you do as a just recent college grad? You smoke a lot of pot, especially living in California, and where at that point it's just legal. and that you just, well, not legal, but it's medically legal. It was never, I never lived there when it was like fully legal like it is now. Like you can just go to stores like, well, but there they didn't, you knew somebody or you just could get it. It's not hard. It's not a hard thing to do. It's super easy. And so, I just got super baked and, drank and, had a good time. And then I realized I had this job interview because what was so great about it is because I graduated and I right before maybe like 2 weeks before that, like I went to this job fair thing that like a buddy of mine like recommended that I should go to. And she's like, she put a good name into me. She's like, go to this company, go to them, say that I sent you, and you can and you should introduce yourself to them in this thing. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Did that. I showed him a couple stuff, and then like the really thing that got him is the fact that I used to make makeshift film equipment, and so they're oh yeah, fuck yeah, like we should definitely sit down and you should do an interview. So I got a phone call. We set up an interview. Everything like that, like interview went great, and the thing is that like we need you to take it. We need you to take a drug test. And I'm like fuck. I'm like damn it. And so I'm like what should I do? So I started just doing a bunch of cardio, and then I would sit in the sauna. And I never sat in the sauna, but this gym at that time, 24-hour fitness that I had a membership to, was they had one, and I'm like okay, well I'll just sit in there. So I just would work. I would do a workout, do this treadmill for. I think it was like, I want to say 10 miles or something like that. So like 30 minutes, and then I'll go down, sit in the sauna. And I did that as much as I could. So like at first, like I could only do it for like, 3 minutes. Then I eventually moved my way up to like now being to 30 minutes and 30 seconds. Could probably do longer if I wanted to, really, to tell you the truth. But I just don't do that because I just can overcook myself, and then it takes forever for me to cool down. That's like the only bad side effect of doing the sauna too much. If I sit in there for too long, or if you hit your point where you just cook yourself, that's what I call it. And so your core body temperature is just super high. You take a shower and you don't cool down. Even though I have big pores, so like I sweat a lot really easy. So even when I'm cooling down still, I'm like sweating. And so, but the thing is, like the whole reason why I keep telling you all this to like eventually tell you this, and it's a podcast. I do a 30-minute podcast. I'm trying to kill time. And like, where else are we going? If you're here and you're listening, like what else? Like you might as well just sit here and listen to me blabble up leading up to this whole thing. Trust me, it's worth it. Now, every once in a while when I'm in the sauna, people will get into the sauna there with me. And I've, told you this before. This is a dry electric sauna. So there's an outlet. It's plugged into the wall with electricity. So sometimes there's people who will put water onto it, and then it breaks it, and then we're out of the sauna for a couple days. And then I'm like, well, shit, this sucks. Life sucks without having the sauna. And then there's times where people now, this is a new one. People are now shaving. So they're shaving their face, shaving their legs, shaving their arms, shaving their chest in the sauna, which is absolutely gross, horrendously awful. Like, why would you do that? And then there's people who also, this is the weirdest one too. People like took like the plastic covers of the light bulbs, took it off, and then unscrewed the light bulb. So we just sat in there in the dark because there's no switch or anything like that for the light switch on the outside or anything. It's just, that's all set, I'm assuming, by, some main switch outside. And I'm like, I'm just so weird. It's like, why can't people just be chill in the sauna? Like, why is it always this incredible sense of having to do something dumb? It's like, just sit there. No matter if you jog, I hate when people sit in place and they do that jog, or people, do stretching. It's like, it's not big enough to do that stuff. Like the whole reason why you sit in the sauna, the reason why it was invented by the Swedes. The Swedes started doing that stuff, and like a lot of them, I'm like, I have Swedish friends, and when I was doing some work in Prague, I had Swedish friends, and then we'd go to the saunas there, and like there you just bring beer. And you just sit in there and you drink, and like it's like, it's hot, and you can go in and out of it, no big deal. Like, and the whole thing after you do a sauna is you immediately like dunk yourself, or you take a cold shower because it closes off the pores, and then like your skin doesn't dry and absorb all that, all the stuff that you sweated out, and that's the whole thing. It's very awesome. The whole point of it is very, 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 very cool, but it's a whole like kickback thing in their culture. But I just like it because it's fucking awesome to do after I work out. It's honestly the best thing in the world. I tell people all the time, like, you gotta do the sauna. You gotta do the sauna. It's very important. It's very, very, very important. So, guys, we're here. We're doing this podcast. You see that? That was pretty cool, wasn't it? I'm pretty mellow this week. I'm just like kind of laid back. Most of the time I'm like going crazy. But I feel like when I go super intense, then like I start slurring my words a lot. And so it doesn't come off professional, I guess you could say. But this week I was doing a bunch of random things. And one of the big things I was doing was I was looking at conspiracy theories because I think they're awesome to look up. And I just happened to overhear one per se. So that's what sparked the interest of looking up conspiracy theories. So I looked at the conspiracy theory of like there being a body double, because like Trump like apparently has actually died from COVID. And there's a body double now. And so there's a whole conspiracy on that, but I couldn't really find anything. But what I did find was this very interesting conspiracy theory. It's called the Melania Trump replacement conspiracy theory. So the Melania Trump conspiracy theory is a conspiracy theory that the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, has been replaced by a body double. Pretty cool, huh? I know, it's going to get crazy. Like, these are... What's so awesome to me is, like, when I read conspiracy theories, like, what makes a good one for me is if I feel it in my nuts. I'm like, oh, I don't like this. This is like... It's not that it could be real. It could be real, but I still think they're dumb. It's a lot. It's people who have too much time like this. It's someone who doesn't. When you do a podcast, you can easily go one way or another. You can easily have just not done that podcast, or you could easily have just started like getting heavily into conspiracy theories. So these are very fine lines that these two things ride on, very close to each other. And what I like about conspiracy theories is just escapism. It's like film for me. I don't really take a lot of it. Don't think me wrong. Like, there are some conspiracy theories that we've realized that are true, like the Bay of Pigs. Like that, the conspiracy theory is that, we, gave them guns and then we were going to attack them so it would cause a fight with Cuba. Like, see, there's things like that that are real. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, but this, I don't know. I'm like, it could be real, but like, what is it really doing? Like, she hasn't really done much for anything for the last 4 years. So like, why does it matter? But it's just fun. It's a lot better than dealing with reality of like going through a pandemic, having to deal with Trump as president, being Latino and him not liking us. It's just, those little things. But apparently what they believe is that the real Melania has either died or has gone out of the public, like out of the view of the public. So it's like two very vast things. Like, it's death, or they could have just like not now want to be in the eye of the public. So, it is what it is. And then, but the conspiracy, so where it started was actually in 2017, where they apparently claimed that some lady was like, some lady wrote a tweet on October 13th saying that, like, I'm absolutely convinced that Melania is being played by a body double. And, it kind of picked up a little bit of speed. And then, was it on October 13th, Facebook post of the conspiracy theory by an actress named Andrea Wigner Barton quickly gained nearly 100,000 shares, because she just thought of the idea of like maybe Melania her body is just a double. Like, maybe that is the whole thing. And I'm just into things like, this is Wikipedia too, so please take this with a fucking grain of salt. This is all fun. This is just fun, a little thing to talk about. I think it's kind of cool. So please do not think that I again, like I said, these are just fun things, but I feel like you have to repeat yourself over and over again because people don't want to listen sometimes. So then in what is it, May 14th, 2018, Melania reported underwent a some sort of surgery which blocked some blood vessels in order to treat a kidney some kidney problems. And then then they believe that that's how she may have died. And then a body double theory arose again in July 2018 because there is a video that has Donald Trump and Melania coming off of Air Force One, and the body double, or the person who is Melania, quote unquote, we're just going to say quote unquote for this situation of what we're talking about, doesn't look like her, doesn't have the same mannerisms. She's a little bit thicker, has bigger breasts, that kind of stuff. And yeah, and then Air Force One, the theory raised again in 2019 following Trump visiting the Alabama tornado site. The TV show The View has a segment on a surge of internet chatter about the former fashion model's Alabama appearance under the hashtag fake Melania. So, it is what it is. It's kind of cool. I think it's just fun things to look. So I would just say, if you're interested in it, just look Melania Trump replacement conspiracy theory. It's a good little fun little thing to go down. And for the love of God, be careful. Like, keep your foot on the brake, because you're going to go down a rabbit hole, a deep, deep, deep rabbit hole. And that actually might be the best segue I've ever done, because the next thing we're going to talk about is we have about 2 minutes and 40 minutes left in this podcast. And so, normally at the very end, I like to tell you guys a movie thing, or a movie you should go check out this week. So this week is called Rabbit Hole. It is actually based off of a play. So like I said, it's based off of a play, but the movie is basically about a man and a woman and how they had just lost their child. He got hit by a car. A teenager was driving a car. Their dog ran out in the middle of the street. The kid followed the dog, and then the dog got missed, and then the little kid got hit. So, and then the movie has to deal with the whole struggle of this husband and wife having to deal with the fact that the kid has passed away. One wants to move on by getting rid of all the pictures and putting them away down in a box. And then you realize that, like, her mom has dealt with the death of one of her brother and then her son. And then you deal with, like, the fact that, like, the wife, then she befriends the kid who killed her son. Well, I guess didn't mean to kill him, but accidentally hit him with a car. And you see that relationship grow, and then you find out that the husband finds out about the whole thing. And it's just a really good movie. It's just interesting. It came out in 2010. It was actually, like, for the fact that it got nominated, like, Nicole Kidman's in it. And that's the reason why I watched it, was because of that, because it didn't get very much publicity because it came out in 2010. But even then it didn't. I think it grossed like 6 million worldwide. It kind of flopped. It was more of a flop than anything. I tried to look up the gross, and like I even looked up this website called The Numbers, and it kind of gives you the whole breakdown of like worldwide, nationwide of every movie, and it gives you like a synopsis of like what it's based off of. Like, is it based off a novel? Is it based off of a play? All that stuff. But yeah, it was. What was it? And then who directed? It was John Cameron Mitchell was the director. I didn't look up any of his stuff after that, so I don't know what else he's done. But yeah, guys, we have about 15 seconds left in this podcast, but you should definitely check it out. It's called Rabbit Hole. It has the guy who plays Two-Face in The Dark Knight, has Nicole Kidman in it. They're the two main people, and it's a fun time. So, like I say, like, comment, and subscribe on this video. If you guys have gotten this far, thank you guys so much. I'm just like, yeah, I'm done for the week and for this one. And yeah, give this video a thumbs up. That's the coolest thing you could do. Give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.